Hi, I'm Laura, and this is Tropetrinitytrilogy. Today, I'll be reviewing Beyond the Red by Ava Jae. First things first, I apologize for this week's video coming up late, but I'm incompetent and I have never pretended otherwise. And second thing, this book is beautiful. Look at it. I love the landscape and the saturation of the colors. This makes me want to go there and then immediately die because it's a freaking desert on an alien planet with killer aliens. The beginnings of the chapters are also beautiful. I heard about this book because Ava Jae, the author, has a writing advice channel, which I really enjoy. If you are interested in that, I recommend you check her out. Her channel is called Bookish Pixie. This book takes place on the alien planet of Saphira, centuries after the humans tried to colonize it and failed. The descendants of the humans left behind are now subservient to the native alien race of the Sapphiron, who are not very nice to the humans. The humans that aren't enslaved by the Sapphiron are known as the rebels, and at least the ones we meet throughout the story, they live in the desert as nomads, trying not to get killed, and generally not doing a very good job at it. The two protagonists are Eros, an alien human half-blood who was raised by the nomads in the Red Desert, and Cora, the alien queen of the Sapphiron of the Red Desert. So, obviously, this book takes place majoritively in the Red Desert. They are both really distinct and unique characters. I really enjoyed them both. This book is full of action, romance, and political intrigue. And I really love how it hit all the emotions. It went from suspense to humor to romance to super dark and gritty in a snap. And I really love books that hit all the emotions and aren't one note. It's a fairly short book. I finished it in 3 days, partially because it's short, partially because I really enjoyed it and just couldn't stop reading, and partially because I was late on my video. I recommend this book for anyone looking for a fun, yet super dark at times, sci-fi novel that's both an easy and quick read while still having a really well-developed world, plot, and characters. Now time for the in-depth, yet still spoiler-free review. This book never had a dull moment. And I have to say, especially the beginning, like the introduction, and the last couple chapters end, were the most intense and fast-paced parts. I really liked them the most. I mean, the middle was still good too. The middle wasn't dull. But the beginning and the end were both super dark, hardcore, action-packed epicness. One thing I really appreciate about this book that I feel like a lot of books don't do, which sometimes I wish they would do. This book does not rotate point of view chapter by chapter. So it's not Eros Cora, Eros Cora. It does whichever point of view is best fit for the chapter and will keep the plot moving at the best page, which I really enjoyed. I've read books where they have it rotated perfectly each time, and sometimes you feel like there's something they just added so they could have another chapter in between, or they have to go back in time because, oops, they had to do it in order, so now the time's all skewed up. This one didn't do that. Ava Jae picked the point of view for each chapter as she deemed necessary, which I really appreciated. Speaking of dual point of views, the dual point of views in this book are both very distinct and well done. Eros was more funny and casual, whereas Cora was more formal and serious, and both point of views were necessary to the plot. Both Eros and Cora are well-rounded characters with flaws. And one thing I really appreciate in a character is flaws, because perfect characters are kind of boring. And boy, did Cora have some flaws. Eros had some flaws. Cora was really flawed though, but I like that. You read the synopsis and it says she's the first female ruler of her territory in generations, but her people are rioting and calling for her violent younger twin brother to take the throne. And you think, oh, they don't like her because she's a female. And then you read the book and you're like, that is true. But also, Cora's a pretty crappy ruler. Like, I don't really blame them for wanting to kick her off the throne. Now, this is intentional, I think, on Ava Jae's part, which I really appreciate. Because most books that have like a teenage ruler, they're amazing rulers, and it's everyone else's fault when it's bad. and they're just so great, and they know exactly what they're doing. In this book, Korra became ruler when she was 15, and let me tell you, she had about the ruling ability of a 15-year-old. She makes mistakes, poor decisions off of shaky facts, and to be honest, especially in backstory, not as much during the story, but she seemed to spend more time like moping about her personal tragedies and how her people don't want a female ruler more than she actually spent helping the kingdom and ruling, which is why the kingdom seems to be in a worse state now that she's been ruling for a couple years. Throughout the story, she begins to learn this and really works hard to try to redeem this and help her people and her kingdom become great again. And then for Arrow's character, he grew up with the rebels. However, despite his adopted family, none of them really accepted him due to his half alien blood and half human blood. Arrow's character never really felt a sense of belonging, which you really do feel throughout the book, and I really enjoyed it. And it's like, poor baby Arrows, I feel bad for you. And then you have this queen who can't do anything, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm giving Korra a hard time. But trust me, guys, I like her character. I know I'm like naming all her flaws, but that's a good thing. I like character flaws. There are also several other notable characters, but I'm not going to talk about them now, so you're going to have to read the book to find out about them. Sorry, not sorry. The world and the culture within this book were really unique, and I was, and still am, really invested in this. Because the culture in this book is very much based on traditional desert cultures, combined with sci-fi elements, and squished together, and it is amazing and unique and well done. It was both nothing like I've read before, yet super believable and felt real. I could not put this book down. There was never a dull moment. And it gave me all the things I want in a book. Humor, romance, suspense, action, super dark scenes that rip your heart out. I've noticed in books this is especially hard with humor, because most books I read either have no humor whatsoever, and it's like super dark and kind of depressing, or it's all humor and I'm like, I can't take anything seriously. This book did not do that. It could go from humor to serious in a second, and now that I've successfully gushed about this book, time to complain about it. So there were two flaws I have with this book. Now, I like their relationship, their character interactions, and I like their relationship about the second half of the book. I thought it was well done, but the development of their relationship up to the halfway point, I didn't really buy it. Arrow should have hated her. In fact, he did say he hated her, but it was more of a way to correct his thoughts when he thought she was hot. So he'd just be like, wow, Korra is hot. Wait, I should hate her. I was like, yes, Eris, you should hate her, but you don't seem to be doing that based on any of your thoughts except correcting yourself or any of your actions. Because to be honest, if I was in Arrow's shoes, I would have hated her. I really felt like the only reason he liked her was because she was hot. And I don't really care if she's hot. Well, maybe a little. And I kind of wish that their physical attraction had slowed down a bit to keep pace with their intellectual and emotional attraction, because I felt like physical attraction was like, and then intellectual and emotional was like barely keeping up, and I'm like, okay, I'm fine with a character noticing another character's hot, but I'm not really into a character liking another character right away and forgiving them for things they should not be forgiving them for because they're hot. Because, shocker, most real people I know will not forgive you for what Korra did because you're hot. In fact, they'd probably stab you in your sleep. I don't think I'm the only one who would, at least. Honestly, this entire video is just me explaining how much of a sociopath I am. But don't get me wrong, I like her character from an outside perspective, but if I had been in the story, I would not have liked her. Also, I will reiterate, I like the second half of the relationship. The second half of the relationship actually has really well done conflict in it too. I just wish some of the conflict from the second half was in the first half, because not every fictional relationship needs big conflict. Some can go easygoing, but based on the plot setup, it did not make sense for this one. The second flaw in this book is actually a really small one. It's only one scene, but one scene near the end, which is where you least want it to happen, like if it's at the beginning, whatever. But at the end, there's one scene that was a bit deus ex machina. The character was in danger, and then bam! Deus Ex Machina, you're safe now. It was fairly close to the end, not the final conflict though, so it's not that big a deal. But it was still, you could have developed a bit more. However, despite these two things, I really liked this book. This book is really unique. It hit all the things I love in a book, all the emotions, all the action, events, and I highly recommend it. This book is the first book in a 4-book series. The second book is Into the Black, and the third one is The Rising Gold. Again, I highly recommend this book. I feel like it's super underappreciated. It's by Ava Jae, whose YouTube channel is Bookish Pixie. Later!